Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the PMA-CIBC Summit Series. Thank you to everyone in the audience today and in the industry for such strong support to keep this summit fresh with new topics and discussions each month. For those new to our summit, welcome, and for those returning, welcome back. Now in our sixth season, this PMA-CIBC Summit Series is all about bringing the housing industry together. From builders and developers to government officials, trades, service providers, stakeholders, and even customers, this forum creates a space for real conversations around the challenges we're facing today. And what is our goal? Is to connect the right people, spark meaningful dialogue, and work together on practical solutions to the complex housing issues of our time. For those of you viewing us on our YouTube channel, welcome and please subscribe and of course hit the like button so that our programming can reach more people as we need more people advocating for change in our industry. A quick reminder for those who may have questions throughout our session today, we want to encourage you to type your questions in the Q&A box and we will get to as many as we can at the end of the session. My name is Grace Poon, and I am the Executive VP of National Research here at PMA Brethour, and I am thrilled to be back as your host today. Before we dive into the good news, feel-good session this morning, Andy will start us off with a short update on the market. Over to you, Andy.
Thank you, Grace, so much, and welcome to our illustrious panel on success and good news. I was actually cornered at the Build Golf Tournament several weeks ago by Steve and Hunt, and he and a group of about, I think there were at least 8 or 10, and said, Andy, what's the good news out there? For goodness sake, tell me some good news. And I said, that's a great topic for our Summit Series, and hence we pulled Steve in and the fabulous Natascha from Treasure Hill and John Amardeil, 3 terrific leaders in our industry with some very insightful commentary for you today. We are at the cusp of change right at this moment, both in terms of world events, the release of hostages long overdue in Israel, to potential long-lasting peace, let's hope, in the Middle East. How remarkable is that? But these are factors together with possible trade resolution coming to the fore. These are areas that have shaken the confidence of our consumer in this very local market here of Toronto. Notwithstanding all of the issues and the bombardment of bad news that we are constantly being faced with, it's issues of really, when it comes right down to it, across the kitchen table, is this the right time to be out buying and making a major purchase like a new home? And the function of confidence is such an important ingredient for us in our industry. That confidence really is driven, in some cases, by the last line of defense from the people you're going to hear from this morning. They are the innovators, the creators, the bold leaders in our marketplace that are doing things that kind of go against the flow, are perhaps the ones who are searching for the answers that we're trying to find to how do we survive in this market turmoil. I'll just say I'm not going to talk about the numbers because they've been pretty ugly on the new home side, but the resale market's humming along very nicely. I would suggest that when that's 95% of the housing stock, the resale market's operating at about 80% of normal, which is up from the mid-60s to about 70% levels of a year ago. So we've seen improvement here. We've seen a market movement. I mean, goodness gracious, all the bad news on the condo high-rise scene, yet the resale high-rise condo is moving, probably will target over 20,000 units this year. So that's really something, 15 to 1,600 units a month. It's a remarkable positioning within the market of a consumer who says, I'm going to take advantage of great value. The delta between new housing and resale is really the story of this marketplace. And I kind of, in fun, call it Bob Barker time. The price is right. The consumer's driven by affordability. The consumer is driven by the confidence of the reality of the touch feel of the resale product, of something I can see and move to and make that a commitment today. But the delta price between new and resale is at the largest that perhaps we've ever experienced in our market. It's particularly extreme in the high-rise game, but it's much closer and getting closer in the low-rise marketplace, from townhouses to stacks to single family. And that's where there's a heartbeat within this marketplace, and why I say that we're at the cusp right now of change. If we can see elements like peace in the Middle East, if we can see elements like a trade resolution, if we can see on November the 4th a budget that finally gives us clarity on the HST rebate, if we can see continued tax revolution in the municipalities from DCs to other charges that have now consumed, upwards of 34% of the end selling price of a new home. If we can see the province jumping on board with that in support of the federal government's HST move, if we can see these changes occurring, these confidence builders occurring within the next literally 30 to 60 days, this bids well for October 29, Bank of Canada, possibly another rate cut, December the 5th, further rate cut. We may see ourselves entering 2026 with Bank of Canada Prime at 2%. And now this doesn't have a direct impact on mortgage rate, bond yields do, but it does on variable, which then should float down towards the 4% mark. If we ever come to a point where a posted mortgage rate from the Big Five has a 3 in front of it, that's a phenomenal signal to the marketplace that we are restoring elements of confidence, both in the sense of this becomes the opportunity to move forward with the purchase of a new home. I believe that this cusp right now is directly in front of us. The high-rise game is going to take a little longer because there's a big hangover of inventory, and we've all talked about that, and we're very familiar. But the low-rise is where you're going to see some significant uplift, and potentially, as we enter the spring of 2026, potentially a noted and remarkable recovery. I think that's just in front of us. And I'm pleased to really welcome these three leaders here this morning who have, in my experience with all of them over many years in this market, and more recently with Natascha at Treasure, but I've known Stephen and John for a long, long time, and Stephen Hunt of Hunt Design, and John Amardeil of, I don't know what I call you, John, multiplex. He's the multiplex guy. He's done everything from his own business and marketing to becoming a developer himself. And Natascha, whose insight and perception and understanding of the consumer driving Treasure to some remarkable achievements, which I'm sure she'll talk about. So each one of these individuals, very special in their own right, and very powerful in shaking the tree of this market and making a difference. I'm going to stop with that introduction, and I'm going to turn it over at this moment to give each of these illustrious speakers a couple of moments to introduce themselves and give their own opinion about where do you see this market and where is it going. And then we'll dive in, we'll do a quick overview, and then we'll dive into some detail with each of them. So why don't I start with you, Natascha, and given that you're selling out every project in record time at the moment, you're setting new records and setting new leadership in the market. Tell us about you and maybe a little of your background and what you see coming forward as an organization and yourself personally. Natascha Pieper from Treasure Hill. Natascha.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here. It's interesting sitting on this panel. I see John Amardeil, and I remember when I started my career, I guess it was a long time ago, but I feel like when you actually have been in the industry 15 years plus, it's not something you want to highlight anymore, right? It's something I always shy away from. But I remember back in the day, we did a great project called Honeyfield, and, we tried to figure out buyers don't like a vinyl siding, this Cape Cod look, and trying to sell it and market it. And it went on to win the project of the year. And, it started my career into really understanding the importance of, grassroots marketing and really paying attention to the customer and the shift in demand that we're seeing. I'm privileged because at Treasure Hill we have so many communities across the GTA, but it's not all the same product typology. We have I think every type of home, from stacked townhomes to back-to-backs to traditional townhomes to 36s, 40s, 45s, you name it. And we can see with every product type, uh, some of it resonates very well in some markets, and in other markets it doesn't. And we're really keen to pay attention to what the customers are looking for. And in order to do that, especially in a role like myself, I'm very hands-on. On the weekends I am on the sales floor. I'm listening to those conversations. I study in this market. When the market's strong, you don't really have to pay too much attention to your leads. You've got the lineup at the door and your order taking. In this market, we've had to shift to really making sure those leads are called. What do our buyers want? Is our product right? There's so many boxes you have to check in this market. And I think that's where I'm spending most of my time, from creating enough of noise in the market about a project that's coming to the market, working with the team at Treasure Hill. And Stephen, you work with our construction team all the time on product design and making it special, and we're changing it all the time. We don't just recycle our product and take it from one community and bring it to the next. We're constantly being innovative in our strategies to make sure we're rethinking how we're delivering product to the market, what product will sell, with affordability in mind, making sure that these are great places that people actually want to live. It's super important. And our acquisition strategy, continuing to buy land in premium locations, because I think that really helps you weather a little bit of the political storm that we're all experiencing. So all things combined, I think, I can say I have a great lens to, how to position ourselves in various submarkets, just because I think we're in every submarket across the GTA. So with that comes a great learning opportunity. In order to learn, you really got to pay attention to the data, what people are saying, and really focus on the customer at the end of the day. That's the key thing.
Thanks, Natascha. I love that. Listen to the customer. Be on the floor. It sounds strange, but I think I've spent my life on the floor. But the sense of understanding that customer and where their thinking is so critical today. And you really nailed it. I thought the other interesting thing you said is change is normal. Embrace it. Just envelop yourself in the constant look for change. That, so what if it didn't work? Let's try again. Let's focus on another component of it and make that happen. Thank you, Natascha. Let me move over to Steve Hunt, the amazing designer, architect, the guy leading the pack with when we turn and Steve says to me, "What's the good news?" And I said to Steve, "What's the next good plan?" And so Steve, over to you. Tell us about your history and what you're seeing in this market as a brief overview.
Thanks, Andy, and also honored to be a part of this panel. For those that don't know us, Hunt Design is an architectural practice focused on the development and building industry across Southern Ontario. Really, what we strive for is to improve the quality of life for our customers, for our families and communities through good planning and great design. And I think the success of the firm is based on strong partnership with our clients, and based on the abilities of the firm's senior partners and leadership team. Natascha was talking about the legacy of it being in this industry. And Andy, you'll remember this, when I first started the firm, now 25 years ago. We kind of called ourselves the new kids on the block, and my kids tell me, "Well, that's over, Dad." I'm the guy with the gray hair now and everything else, but we've always been known for creating setting designs. We're listening to the experts like Natascha and yourself, Andy, and to John, and really trying to create something that is responsive to contemporary lifestyle trends. You know, and our skills range from visioning of the community itself to creating a sense of placemaking for people. You know, buying a home is an important decision, but it tends to be location. When particularly in this market, people have a vast choice for where to buy their home. The intangible things like, well, what is the neighborhood like? What are the amenities and around it? What's the connectivity to the fabric of the town or city itself? So this is all very important, and we like to start at the very beginning that way. And also, you know, we've been multifaceted over the years. We've always been strong in design. We do a lot of high-end custom homes, but we do a lot of large communities as well. So those two skill sets overlap and complement each other as we're trying to be creative, but understand the technical side of it. And a couple of years ago, see, time flies. 14 years ago, we started For Architecture, which is a mid-rise firm, and is again another strong relationship with our clients. In this case, Natascha, and a common understanding of how to approach a site. For Architecture is able to study the feasibility of developing medium-density sites in any number of ways. What's the return on a mid-rise development or stacked townhouses with underground parking, without underground parking, or is it just more grade-related homes? So, you know, at the end of the day, a business is successful based on these relationships. We have great clients and terrific people here. Many of them are homegrown, and it's important to be able to grow and retain good people to be part of the team and live for another day. Live for this returning market. And, you know, quite frankly, our firm has been quite busy over the last couple of years. A large developer group who are also trying to maintain their team, keep their people busy, plan for the next cycle. And what I've learned is if you're not continually listening to Natascha's point, not continuing listening and learning, you're falling behind. So we are often surrounded by multidisciplined professionals like real estate, like marketing, like construction people, to bring together design solutions that are viable. We're constantly monitoring emerging lifestyle trends or unique cultural needs of a particular marketplace, the demographics of it all. And we seek to understand the business of building homes and communities while ensuring they are livable. You know, it's great to have great vision, great ideas, but they don't exist unless they're built and enjoyed.
Thanks, Steve. Very well put. And I can see a common theme here of listening and learning coming from it. I love your broad spectrum from customization to production housing. It really lends itself to how innovative can we be in design, particularly when we're competing today with those 30,000 listings of resale product at sometimes significantly better value. Will the consumer move to new housing principally because of form and shape and place and the things that you're talking about? I think that's extremely important, and try to find the key points of differentiation for each particular builder or player or product mix and form that you have out in the marketplace. It's very important, Steve. Thank you very much. And of course, I'm going to then jump over to John Amardeil, who's John's, I'm going to call him Mr. Refreshing. You know, John has been outspoken in many areas in his lifetime, and it's always been enormously refreshing. John, give us your opinion about where we are, where we're going, and tell us about what the heck you've been doing these last couple of years.
Andy, producer over here. We lost John temporarily.
Oh,
So yes, I'm sure he'll be back any moment.
okay.
Why don't
Well,
we move to question number one?
well, that's fantastic. Thank you, John. Goodbye. Johnny has been involved in a most interesting project that we're going to share with you when he comes back. I know he's in Nova Scotia somewhere on the coast, and oh, there he is. There he's back
There he
right
is.
now. I just filled in. You missed all the beautiful compliments I made about you, John. So give us your overview of who you are and where you've been. And I know you're in a trailer in Nova Scotia at the moment or something, I think. And
Yeah.
I'm in Nova Scotia with sketchy internet, and I don't know, it just cut me off. I died. I apologize. Thanks everyone. It's great to be here. Pleasure to share some thoughts and ideas with you during these challenging times. My real estate career began in 1979, and I'm actually proud of it, Natascha, because I guess it's different for guys, but I'm thrilled that I've been around for 46 years. I love this industry. It's been phenomenal. I faced a lot of ups and downs, like crazy, 80s, 90s, '08, and obviously now. I've been bragging about that forever because those are my battle scars. You know, I learned so much in the bad times. The bad times were the best for me because that's when I developed my marketing skills. That's when we have to do the best stuff. I actually got out of the industry 8 years ago, a little bit when I sold BAM because I didn't think marketing was making a big difference. You know, I wasn't moving the needle, I wasn't contributing, and we weren't improving the industry or homes or the way we treated customers or anything like that. Um, when I worked for big major builder developers for 18 years, and I was blessed to report to Peter Gilgan at Mattamy, blessed to report to Howard Sokolowski and Al Lipfeld at Tribute, blessed to have worked with David Feldman and Cam Ross. These guys are mega leaders, mega innovators, and they taught me the power of ideas and putting the rubber to the road. And so I have a career of being exposed and contributing to massive new innovations, and I'm really thrilled about that. And I'm actually happy to be getting back into the world of marketing. I had, after working for builders for developers for 18 years, I had my own marketing firm, BAM, Builder Advertising and Marketing for 18 years, which I loved. Since 2018, I've been evolving, turning into a small developer and getting back and getting into consulting. Being an optimist, I try to find positives wherever I can. And as a marketer, I embrace bad times because they often spawn bright new ideas. As the saying goes, necessity is the mother of invention. I can think of many new ideas that have reshaped the housing industry. My most famous example is from the early 1990s market downturn, and that was the launch of the wide lot by Mattamy. A reconfiguring of a lot that was 110 to 120 feet deep down to 76 feet deep, but much wider, with a front porch with a flush garage instead of a projecting garage. That site, the Orchard, the first wide lot site, sold out 1,000 homes in 3 years. I encourage all leaders and all industry influencers to create innovation and improvement that will excite today's home buyers. That means introducing new homes with better and more exciting living opportunities than existing homes have. I really want to shout out to Treasure Hill. This isn't a new phenomenon. Treasure Hill's been like this for many, many years. I live in a Treasure Hill home that they built downtown, designed by Ciccone Simone 13 years ago. I bought it in 5 minutes without my wife. I was so smitten by it, and my wife was too. And we still live in that house. And still has features and benefits that I have never seen offered in a major builder's new home offering. I still see builders offering 12-inch tiles and the same cabinets, the same countertops, the same everything as I was marketing 20, 30 years ago. Literally, I, I challenge the industry to create some new excitement and get buyers off the sidelines, not just focusing on price, which is a motherhood. It's obvious that we have to have, market pricing, but we need to compel and excite people to want to live in our new homes. So that's why I'm here today, to encourage people to do that. And then later I'll share an example of a project I'm involved in that is that's totally broken the mold. Thank you.
John, thank you so much. Again, the common theme of innovation, boldness, trying to do things differently. I love your bad times are the best of times. It really does. When times are tough, we really focus on creativity. And when good times, we perhaps take for granted and not need it. And away we go. And you get more of the same and more of the same again. And what we're experiencing now is how do we unlock the key to that innovation and creativity, and you're doing it. So congratulations to you, John. Great fun to have you here this morning.
Thank you.
Let me flip then over to each of our speakers to give them a little more time, a little more depth into actual specific events or topics. Let me start with I'm going to start with Steve.
Sure.
Steve, you talked about design, about I loved your comments about trying to make places more livable for people. You and I chatted earlier about the disappearance of the living room, the dining room, the kitchen. It's all being blended into different forms and formats that are all about livability. Over to you, Stephen. Jump on your design themes.
Thanks again, Andy. Yeah, I was also around in the early 90s, with a very poor market. And, my mentor, Ken Villion, had sent a few of us to California back in the day to sort of stimulate thought, to seek out what innovations could be possible to stimulate a market. Because ultimately, what's going to steer one from a resale, or one of the things that could steer one from a resale to a new home, is offering features that aren't available in existing housing stock. So the trips to the Southwest U.S. since then, they stimulated a lot of thought. We hosted a couple of housing tours into the States, and I think everyone on this panel was with me at one point or another.
Washington.
Yeah. So Washington's a good example. So we saw a lot, and over the years, I came to appreciate that the GTA's got one of the most sophisticated housing markets in North America. The way homes are now designed, we have our challenges with land pricing, so we design homes for smaller lots than larger lots. That's just the reality of it. But the level of sophistication in all the fields is there. And so I'll say at this point, there isn't as much to learn down there because we have a dynamic marketplace. But Washington, for example, when we're going into Fairfax County and everything else, a lot of their homes were, I'll call them 3-room homes. They had a principal dining space, they had a principal living space, and they had their kitchen. And I think most people agree that the traditional living room has kind of left our designs over the last 10 years or so, but we're actually seeing more continuous spaces versus in individual rooms within the right demographic. There's certainly demographics where separate spaces are required, but mostly we're just seeing things coming together in one living space, more flexibility, working around the hearth of the home is now the kitchen island, right? Height and light has always been an important aspect of great home design. That expression I learned from Leanne's father. And homes live larger than they actually are when you have more volume and natural light in them. And so these are just like key design principles. So understanding the business of building homes is important. There's some key design principles that you have to adhere to. You have to create spaces that are functional and efficient. like I said, open floor plates, the higher ceilings, and great architecture properly executed through good proportion and massing imbue the project with a quality that adds to its value. It doesn't necessarily cost more to design well. You just have to design well. You have to know how to use materials, and you have to know good design principles. So at this point, knowing the market is important. Affordability is big. Having I'll say a plethora of prototypes to draw from in terms of home designs is important as we assess sites. And one of the things that has come across in the last few years is the secondary suite. So what I'll do is I'll just share my screen here. And we will look at some of the ideas that are current in the marketplace to help promote sales from multis to single family homes. What you're looking at is actually one of Natascha's plans from Flory, very successful project. Getting some background there. We're okay? Yeah.
The extension cord's gone.
Actually, it's Andy. Okay. So what was important in this project in terms of Treasure Hills concept is to create family units, 3-bedroom homes that are affordable. And this design accomplishes that in a terraced or stacked townhouse form. Contemporary architecture, but bedrooms which are fitted out with built-ins in order for them to be practical and usable. And Natascha was referring to these built-ins in what she had to say, and it's really programming the home. If we want to make it affordable, we want to make it efficient, as I said earlier, and practical. Here's a way to make small spaces work that way. And we're involved with actually a number of projects where we're looking at micro units that have this sort of approach and concept to help people live comfortably in small spaces. And we didn't invent it. I mean, go to Japan and you'll see what they really mean by micro units. There's different stacked townhouse forms. We assess sites all the time. If we're in a more urban area, as with the previous product, we were building stacked townhouses on underground parking. This particular form is at-grade parking, where there just isn't the depth in the market to pay for underground parking. It's a big discussion when we're designing sites. We're doing mid-rise buildings with at-grade parking as well. It's a major consideration in valuing a site. If I get this many units on it, is it worth the price that the guy is asking, right? So we have to assess it in a number of different ways. But there's a very popular product out there right now. Second suites, additional suites to the primary suite. We're introducing that as far back as 2018. Fernbrook Homes did a very large development, still active in Mapleview and Barrie. It's one of the first projects where we introduced second suites. This happens to be Deco Homes in Caledon, where the second suite is accessed from the side door into a lower suite that has bedroom and kitchen facilities and living facilities. And the rest of the home lives normally. But we also did a home back then that was a true second suite home, where there's 2 principal living spaces and bedroom spaces, and the home lives like a normal home on the street. Deco is currently marketing this one, and we had a version of this way back in 2019, and Fernbrook was selling that project or that phase of the project for a couple of years. Sharon told me that this was their most popular seller. Out of all their 38-foot singles, this home resonated. Today, the attack group of builders and Fieldgate and Caledon are marketing homes, and they're bedroom centric. This is already a 5-bedroom home, but after they opened for sale, there's demand for even more. So we were converting ground floor spaces into additional bedrooms, a multi-generational home. And this seems to be the case not only for communities, but also custom homes. And how do we add value or features that aren't really part of the existing housing stock? Well, we're looking at gourmet kitchens. We're talking about going back to 3 living spaces where there might be just a primary dining space, great room, and the kitchen just expands rather than having 2 eating spaces. Buying 2 sets of dining tables, etc., and really fitting it out. This is again another deco home where they've really planned things out, much in the way that Treasure Hill has done on the smaller suites. Again, having options for a fully fitted out kitchen with a primary dining room. Oops. Sorry, lost that screen. I don't know if I can go back. Go back here. And apologize. Here. Again, the idea of having basically 3 basic spaces across the house, the back of the house that has the large gourmet island. The architecture also is evolving, where we're doing even traditional architecture is looking more contemporary. And
Steve, I'm going to get you to wrap up if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
I've got to move on to lovely
Yeah.
Natascha.
last slide. How
Good.
about that?
Thank you.
So what I'm saying is, modern contemporary architecture is here to stay. We're going back and we're looking at more traditional architecture and modernizing it. So perhaps it lives a little easier with, more contemporary homes as well. So we just think this is more than, it's not so much a trend as an evolution.
Thank you, Steve. That was fantastic. There was just so much in there to absorb, from the 3-bedroom elements, so critical. Some of the cultural heritage that we have to face in certain market areas that require separate lower level suites, rentable for the affordability situation. So you've got a whole combination of things. Your multi-gen comment was really strong. I love it. There's a lot to chew on there. Thank you so much. Over to Natascha. Now, Treasure Hill, we've talked about already in our presentation, just as a group, about how successful you've been. Without giving it all away for free, Natascha, what's the story of your success?
It's always a hard conversation, right? How much do I want to share? No, I would say, lately I've been saying you have to check a lot of boxes, and I think that holds very true in terms of, looking at the whole program, from your site location attributes to priming the market, your marketing effort, reaching the right audiences, and product design. Like everything that Stephen just presented, that's very much my world, and those are the biggest conversations we have. Because I think today we have a lot of people, so it's a little bit different. We have a lot of people visiting our sales centers, our model homes. And I have to say to myself, people aren't just visiting because they have nothing to do. I think we definitely have serious buyers on the sidelines. Like just in the last week, we had over 500 people register for various communities. Like for people to take the time to study, our product offering, our community, and decide that they want to register and visit our sites on the weekend, I think there's definitely a motivation to buy. But when they come to our presentation galleries, it's important that, you know, like it's the whole customer experience, right? And when we talk about those boxes to check, you know, when I select, I think this is something that doesn't really get spoken about too much, but the people that are on the front line, like the investment on who is selling Treasure Hill product, like who can tell the story properly, who can actually work with the customer and understand their needs and what they're looking for, and take on more of a relationship-based strategy is so critical. You know, it's not the hard sell anymore. We're not responding to investors. You know, I have a strong high-rise background, and I'd say selling low-rise communities across the GTA is very different. And I think more now than anything, there's negative headlines, people are nervous. So how do you distill, you know, a positive buying experience on the sales floor? And I think those conversations are so, it's probably one of the most critical pieces of the puzzle. And like the product offering, those slides, those resonate because my lens these days, you know, I spend a lot of time just looking, sitting with construction and the team, looking at our floor plans and, you know, building that complete home. Like that was the model for Flory. That's what resonated with people because we were adding value. And to be able to add value, you know, I think that's just another one of the key important boxes that you have to check. The quality finishes. People are looking for quality construction. We're not, you know, it's, if you're looking for your first home, you do want something special. If you're buying for your children, you know, a lot of the buyers for Flory were from that local market. You had a lot of luxury estate homes. People are, you know, they believe in that neighborhood. They want to stay in that neighborhood. It's a beautiful place to live. So, you know, our product offering, it checked another box because this is something special. This is something great. I could see my children living here. We actually had investors. So this is, I haven't seen this in a while. A lot of people are saying, you know what, I've done the math. This is a cash positive project to invest in. We have a lot of investors. I haven't seen that in a long time. This is my first Treasure Hill project where I can say we've attracted a lot of investors. And that's just unheard of in this market, especially with the amount of condo inventory sitting on the market. So that was something new for me to experience. And then when we look at some of our other communities, like that living dining room, the den, I hear more often than not, buyers are very specific. If your floor plan doesn't offer those 3 features, it's not enough. It's not enough to pull the trigger and want to buy a home. And they don't want to walk through your living room to get to your kitchen. Like having that separate hallway, double entrance doors, the side door, so that people can actually rent out their basements. Treasure Hill now gives buyers a finished basement so that they can subsidize their monthly income and rent out the basement. So we try to pack as much value into our homes as possible. I'm preparing to launch another site in Stouffville, and every one of my homes is going to come with a finished basement with that side door entrance. That is what buyers are looking for, and that's what we're going to offer the market.
Natascha, could I just ask you a question briefly on Flory? That uh, very impressive performance and product design from Stephen. But I was, you know, when we look today's market that is so driven by price, and you hit a home run with a 699, and of course, and move them up into different levels above that. What was the driving consideration to add the panelization and that extra component? You know, in today's market, when we're battling a price issue in most affordability issues, that would have been it. You never would have done that panelization and that monochromatic look and the finishing and give that concern. What drove you to that decision?
Just there's a lot of inventory on the market, and you know, for someone to buy a 3-bedroom suite, we wanted something a little bit more special. So based on the footprint of the unit, we knew we wanted the 3-bedroom. The 3-bedroom's the win. But how to make the 3-bedroom livable is where we had to introduce smart storage solutions, right? Like if you really have to see the suite, because it's very hard for me to convey that now, but you could see like the paneling and the integration. They're very intimate spaces and they're beautiful. So the light color palette, the aesthetic, the design, it definitely has a wow factor, right? And it's just that giving buyers something a little bit different. And, you know, we were very careful on how we presented that suite to everybody that came to the gallery. Like, we had somebody walk them through and give them a tour. It wasn't just come in and walk through. It was a very deliberate, you know, focused presentation of what these homes will look like and what features they come with.
Awesome. A real sales journey for the consumer through that, all those special features you created. Just an excellent story.
And
What-
what's
what's-
really
what-
interesting is the lineup. We
Yeah.
had such a huge lineup just when we were previewing. We weren't even selling, but so many. What really penetrated is, sure, I did the big beautiful broker preview where we had over 800 agents, but when we did the preview session and we did the specialized, bring your team in, we're going to give them a presentation of the suite, everybody walked away saying, wow, this is very special. This is something different. It's not something that you're seeing in the industry. And they were all eager to come back and bring their clients because they knew that that was the mechanism to say, this isn't typical to what's out there. This is something very special and you're getting a lot of value and it's high design. And through that, we had probably 1,000 people come through on a Saturday just to see the suite.
Wow.
It was a lot of work. I had to have, you know, the amount of staff just to make sure everybody had a great experience. And, you know, I didn't want everybody just coming into the suite and it being crowded and not really appreciating the product offering as it was. And I think, with all things considered, when we were ready to sell, and when we actually had our signing date, we performed very well. Like, all the, you know, we sold 100% of the building through the worksheets. And then, you know, it was another thing, bring everybody in to sign their offer. So you had some drop off, you know, the market isn't that strong, but then we also had the backfill deals. And then now we're going through our 10-day, but it took a lot of work to make this project, you know, to what it is, right?
I love
yeah.
the attention to detail. I love the innovation. That's really what it's about. I'm sorry to have to cut you off, but we're tight for time, and I want to get to John. And I want to offer a hearty congratulations on the efforts that you made there and what you've done to this marketplace to make people pay attention. I mean, the professionals in the business to pay attention and find their points of differentiation. Just hearty congratulations, Natascha,
Thank
and
you.
to the whole Treasure Hill team. Johnny A, somebody found a nest in Perry Sound. I don't know what the hell that was about. What's that about?
I'll show you.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. There you go.
That's cute.
Okay, thanks everyone. Okay, thanks PMA, thanks CIBC. I've been coming to so many of these events. I love them. Thank you guys for putting these on. That's me. So yeah, the project I want to talk about is called The Nest. It's a builder, actually it's a contractor up in Muskoka called Hall Construction. Very progressive, very dynamic firm. They've been around for 50 years. Second generation. The kids on the left there, they're my client because I'm consulting and working on this project for them. The project is, we're calling it a new home revolution because houses at $399, you can't really see that too often. The project is really out of the box. So we went totally out of the box on everything. So as many things as we could be fresh, we are. We don't think there's that much going on in the past that really we need to copy. So because we're doing so many innovative things, we decided to carry that through right through to the product and everything else, our marketing, everything, and all our customer communications. I'm thrilled Natascha talked about that because that's a pillar of my campaign as well. Project is located right beside Perry Sound, right on Highway 400. What's really cool about, well, there are a lot of cool things, but one of the cool things about the site is they are detached condominium homes on municipal roads with municipal parks. So that helps the condo fees to have municipal roads, municipal parks. We even have a toboggan hill. That's a municipal park. Now, here's another cool thing. There's no servicing in Seguin. There's no municipal servicing. So we have private wells shared by up to 5 homes and individual septic systems. Another cool thing is because it's rocky and because we're being innovative and because we have septics and wells, we're not lining up the houses like cookie cutters, like soldiers on a street. The homes will be sited. Some of them will share driveways so that we can site them in the woods. We're going to site the homes to minimize disturbance, minimize tree cutting, minimize blasting, to optimize the experience and the livability. The homes come with a shed instead of a garage at $399. You can upgrade to a garage, but your shed will take your snowmobile and all those other kinds of things. The homes are each going to sit on about 1/3 of an acre, probably vacant land or pottle. We're not sure yet. Probably vacant land condo. So you own your land, you maintain your own house. The homes are super innovative. This is our biggest house, 1,280 square feet, 2-story, 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath. Vinyl siding, premium vinyl siding. Here's the floor plan for that house. Very simple, very clean, open concept because we can't really make a lot of rooms. A lot of windows, highly functional, a lot of storage. Notice the tiles in the foyer and the bathroom are not conventional. I'm really keen on offering people exciting new finishes and things that you can't get for $2 at Home Depot. So I'm really surprised any builder's still doing 12 by 12, but a ton of them are. Here's our starter house, 700 square foot bungalow, $399, 1 bathroom, 1 bathroom. We're in the process of adding 2 more homes. We're adding a 2-story with an ensuite, but we won't make it much bigger. We'll keep it at 13 or 14. And then we're going to introduce a house for split grading because we have some split grading and we don't want to blast and we want to conform with the ground as much as we can. Here's a floor plan for that house, very straightforward. Here's one of the cool things. I really believe in sizzle and exciting. I don't think it's all about price. Of course, you have to be market price, but that's your problem. If the builder can't get down to market price, that's their problem. That's not the customer's problem. You got to turn the customer on if you want her to move. And I say her because obviously, more women are making decisions on that than the husbands or men. This is the kitchen that every single home gets. It's called the Nest Kitchen. Everything you see, the smaller house doesn't have room for the island, but everything else you get the open shelf above the fridge. You get the little open shelf for the cups and everything. And then you get that backsplash panorama window, 8-foot wide window in every single home. So we thought that was pretty exciting and attractive. And also the outside looks gorgeous. So we want to bring the outside inside. And we have lots of big windows. The other thing we're doing, and I do this on all my projects, and Natascha will remember even from Honeyfield, we had tons of little kisses, tons of little emotional things to make the homes a little more appealing. So we have a lot of little things that make your life better or make the home more attractive. They don't cost a lot, but they improve your enjoyment and the lifestyle of your home. An example would be a smoke detector, carbon monoxide detector that's Wi-Fi enabled that you can control from your cell phone. You can turn off the smoke detector if my wife burns my steak or if you want to monitor the air quality when you're away. So I'm going to turn on my fan before I go home because my air quality is going to be not as good because I haven't been home. So you can monitor air quality, humidity from a $60 smoke detector. So I'm big into little details. Another thing we're doing here is because we have private wells and septic, we know that's going to be a big concern. So we're getting in front of it by being totally transparent, totally open, educating, empowering, and treating our customers with respect and dignity, despite the fact that they're buying a house at $399, and we know that they're not that knowledgeable or maybe educated about housing. So we're giving them peace of mind, showing them how we're going to be monitoring the wells through the condo and also with the septic that we'll be monitoring through the condo into everybody's individual septic system. So to try to allay concerns and create confidence and transparency. Another thing that we're doing to touch on Natascha, I'm really big into this. We got to treat our customers better. So we have a FAQ on the website. Shout out to Leanne and partnership. Her team built this website and the creative, which are really crushing and doing really great. Thank you, Leanne. We have an FAQ that shares all the negatives about the project. We tell people that there's no garbage pickup. We have in here that you have to drive your garbage to the land transfer station. So I think we're gaining people's trust and confidence and respect by treating them with respect. And sure, some people are going to cut us out because they don't want us septic, but a lot of people are going to go, wow, these guys are honest. These guys are transparent. I think I can maybe trust and respect these guys and build a relationship with them. We have, we just sent out our first e-blast 2 days ago. Thank you so much, Leanne. And to touch on Natascha, I really strongly believe in relationship building and nurturing your leads. I think the days of sending out e-blasts that 40% of people receive is a joke. To not reach your other 60%, I can't imagine doing that as a marketer. So yeah, we'll do e-blasts, but I'm not going to depend on them as my main communication. So now Leanne just sent out this email asking customers if they want to reach out to us by email or phone or text. And Leanne, I got a call from the salesman last night telling me that I better do something because he's being deluged with calls and text and emails. He wants me to change the campaign. And I'm saying, are you kidding? People are reaching out to us. I want more of that. I'll hire you more people. We'll do more interaction and make it better for people, not less. So
Change the sales. Change the
hey?
sales. Change
Yeah.
the sales.
Yeah. So, I just really want to encourage people to be bold and aggressive and to try to excite people. And to, obviously you got to know what you're doing to take chances. Surround yourself with a really good team and conviction, and then go for it. These homes are also super value engineered. I mean, I remember when I was at Mattamy and Tribute, value engineering was critical. We knew the maximum span of every 2x8, 2x10, everything we did. We knew carpet rolls were 12 feet. I think that's disappeared for most builders, aside from some like Sean Mason. I think we need to get back to value engineering and designing homes that are cost effective and smart and practical. That's it for me.
John, that's a great presentation. And I worked with you on many, many projects. You were the king of the asterisk. And when I saw when I saw your first promotion of this and it said $399 with an asterisk, I thought maybe that was the down payment, not the price. And I thought, typical Amardeil. But what an amazing, what a beautiful concept, and trying to target affordability. Now, some of these elements may not obviously be practical in a more urban setting, but at the same time,
No,
the
concept.
What I love is the attention to detail. It just absolutely, and the attention to differentiation. Absolutely right on. Congratulations. We're coming down to the bell. If my panel can you guys hang in for 5 more minutes? Because I know we've got a bunch of questions, Grace, from the audience, and we'll hang on a little 5-minute overlap afternoon. Grace, can I get some of those questions out to the team?
I think most of them were answered, but there is a really good one. As Canada's housing market corrects under higher interest rates and evolving demand, builders face a test of adaptability and foresight. So success in this environment may not come from building more, but from designing, marketing, and building smarter, as mentioned. So what does resilience look like for each of you today? Anybody can jump in.
Well, I think one has to be patient with the approach, because there's a learning process that the marketplace is going through right now. They're starting getting a little more comfortable. Unemployment is getting a little bit better. They're getting little better news out there. The economists are looking forward in a positive way. The Trump factor is maybe being mitigated now, and I think as we try to introduce and sensitize the public with new ideas and innovation, it's going to take time, a little bit of time to connect. But we have to be leaders. We have to be the leaders in the product development and the way it's marketed and built, and the people will come. We know by example of the Treasure Hill experience and others. I'm thinking about Minto up in Upper Unionville and projects that we've done from TAC with the builders in Caledon, that people are there. Need to draw them out.
Thanks, Steve. You know, resilience means what do you do when you get knocked down and you get right back up again? And Natascha, over to you on that question of resilience. Where do you go from here?
For sure. You know what? I try to cut out a lot of the noise, and I just believe in hard work. If you work hard, you're working with your leads, your team is focusing and doing that outreach and connecting with buyers. I think that's the win. And also knowing what's right and wrong, right? Like what works and what doesn't work, and refining and being innovative, like being innovative in this space, leveraging AI, everything, ChatGPT, right? I'm sure I would be curious to see what ChatGPT has to say, but you know, at the end of the day, you know, you got to keep your ear to the ground and you really got to know what's going on. I don't think, you know, my role, you know, I'm sure I'm an executive role in the organization, but I spend most of my time out on the sales floor because every time I drive to a site, I just have a different insight, a different way of looking at things, or, you know, leveraging my experience and seeing how to move the needle. You know, I love this career. I'm always passionate about it. And, you know, I think I bring a fresh lens to how we bring communities to the market.
Thank you, Natascha. Very insightful. Over to you, John. Resilience, determination. Where do you see it going here and wrapping us up?
I think back to basics. You know, I think unfortunately people who've been in the industry the last 20, 25 years haven't really had to do a lot of things that we had to do in difficult markets. So I think maybe that's why it's slow coming back, and shout out to Natascha because she's doing it all, even though she's young. I think it's back to doing things we used
I
to
like
do.
the young comment. That's the
Yeah.
best one.
Well, you are, Natascha. You know, I remember we used to bring the trades in all the time and work with the trades and ask them to contribute to solutions. I remember sitting with the construction guys for days, working on plans and the problems with the plans and walking through the houses. I remember frame walkthroughs. I remember we would design a new house, and then everybody would go out to the site and walk through that house and debug it. You know, we don't do those things. You know, we've lost the skill of being killer builders, and it'll come back because we're dynamic, we're brilliant, we're innovative. But that's why I'm here. That's what I'm trying to spurn. I'm trying to get our industry to reinvigorate and re-excite the customer and improve our image. I don't think we have a great image right now. We're perceived as being stodgy and just sitting there and complaining about prices, complaining about taxes. What are we doing to make things better? How are we showing that we're going to treat customers better, offer better warranties, offer better experiences? Builders need to develop better systems, better procedures, get back to fundamental systems for managing their customers, managing their operations, managing construction, service, all of that stuff. That's my opinion. That'll make you resilient in the future.
Thank you, John. You know, we're blessed to be living in I think, probably one of the greatest cities in the world. I kiss the ground every time I come back, and from where I've ever been in travels, there's a sense of, has always been here in Toronto, that we will find a way through difficult times to the other side, that brighter side at the end of that chaos of storm that we've been going through. And that has always been our heritage. It's always been our legacy, and we will do it again. So I thank each and every one of our panelists today for some terrific contributions about good news and success. I really appreciate your participation. Over to you, Grace, to do our draw and close up.
Perfect.
And thank you.
Absolutely. Again, as Andy said, thank you so much to Natascha, John, and Stephen today for such a good news story and insight. So we're looking forward to more great things to happen and various changes to come. So now it's time for our prize draw, courtesy of CIBC. So our first winner is Susan Newberg from JNC Group. Congratulations. Our next winner is Guy Stramaglia. I'm sorry if I just butchered your name. Apologies. From Tara Brook Homes. So congratulations. If you're interested in getting involved with our program once again, or would like to explore sponsorship opportunities, we'd love to hear from you. A special thank you to our title sponsor, CIBC. our event producer, McEwitt Partnership, and our value supporters, Build, Aurea, Next Home, and Reliance. Most importantly, thank you to you, our audience. Your ongoing support each month is what makes all of this possible. So thank you again and have a wonderful Thanksgiving. See you
And
next month.
our one thought, Gracie, is the next upcoming summit with Benjamin Tall on the economic forecast, and on December the 4th, 5th, right, third, right before.
December 3rd.
Third,
The
right,
date
right
after the
before
Bank
the,
of Canada.
right before the Bank of Canada announcement, right after the announcement. Anyway, we'll look forward to that with Benjamin on our next run through. Okay, thanks everybody. Cheerio.
Thank
Keep
you.
positive.
Thank you.
Stay
Keep going
positive.
strong.